Good morning, Council Chair and members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Tim Steinberger, and I'm the Director of the Department of Environmental Services. As you all are aware, we did introduce Bill 47. However, I do want to make something very clear. This is not an anti-Schnitzer Steel bill. This is simply a bill dealing with economics and being able to recover money back to the general fund. At the last committee meeting in the Budget Committee, I think Councilmember Berg said it best, this is a very emotional issue, and it does seem to draw a lot of discussion. We've had a lot of testimony regarding the fairness and wisdom of supporting a thriving business, and the thriving business I'm referring to is recyclers as a whole.
This bill relates to terminating the recycling residue discount, ending financial support to private commercial recycling companies disposing of recycling residue at H-Power or Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill.
I just want to make a distinction on this. I don't have a prepared speech on this. It's just my mind thinking, hearing all these emails, the discussion, your constituent, as is, Representative McDermott, and came up at the Evan Neighborhood Board, what's going on with Bill 47. It seems like, for discussion purposes, an entity is making a profit. In the free marketplace, they should compete fairly.
We're giving them an 80% discount compared to other people, which means other people are paying the full amount. And the reason that we originally gave this particular subsidy was to encourage them in order to use the landfill and clean up all these cars you can find by the roadside. Well, they not only have done this, but they've made handsome profits at the same time. It isn't going to change their using the landfill, but it will change how much revenue we will get. So as a councilman, my question towards you is, do you wish to have increased revenues, or do you wish to encourage the subsidy to continue so that the revenues still will remain low? I would like to see the revenues increase, and I'd like to see the corporations, in this case I think it's Schnitzer, encouraged to recycle the what's called fluff, which is this ASR, in a manner that they can make some money at it too. And unless we reduce the subsidy, eliminate the subsidy, they're not going to do it. It's cheaper for them to use the landfill. Now, there are corporations all over the mainland that use this fluff and ASR, and they recycle it, take the plastics out, take the metal out, and they make money at it. But Schnitz is not doing it. Now, whatever their motive is, I don't know. It's like you're asking me these other questions about other areas. I don't know. I've never addressed my interest in it. I'm merely focused and prioritized on the Waimanalo Gulch. I don't want there to be a day that we have a flood, that the liners rip up, the stuff dumps out of the gulch because it's formed like a funnel, dumps onto the Kapolei Plain and toxifies all the landfill. I'd much rather, on the other hand, get increased revenues. I'd much rather encourage Schnitzer to go out and recycle their, I think it's about 500 pounds per car that they're dumping into the Waimanalo Gulch right now. I have an article on what the fluff generally amounts to per car. And I think that they should be encouraged, like other corporations on the mainland and other technologies that exist, to reuse this material. I think that all waste material can be reused, either by power or by recycling the plastics or recycling the metals. And we don't have to toxify our environment, because we live in a very delicate environment in which we don't have alternative resources to find other landfills. If everyone here remembers the time and effort it took to find Waimanalo Gulch, I remember when it wasn't a landfill, when it was just an empty gulch back in 1980. I was there and I saw the geological and engineering reports of what was there before we ever used it for anything. And really, we probably would be better off if it was like that today, but it's not. So we have to live with what is, and I would like to see this bill passed, and I would like to see the use of it for these things like ASR and fluff kind of diminished. I'd like to see more money come into the city, and I'd like to see less toxic material being used in our landfill.
Councilmember Anderson?
Chair, I'd just like to ask the representatives from Schnitzer to return to the table to answer one question.
Yes. Ms. Hudson and Mr. Sanderson?
I'd like to ask you both, would you both be willing to allow the council in an executive session look at your financials? Keeping in mind that you are asking us for a substantial subsidy that we as council members who answer to a constituency must be able to provide some sort of security to our constituencies as to why we're continuing the subsidy if in fact we vote to do so. So would you be willing to do that in an executive session?
I'll take this. Thank you, Councilmember Anderson. Unfortunately, the decision has been made. The answer is no. And we recognize that in the short term, opening up our books to you, even in executive session, would help us, likely help us in this debate. But given the fact that we're competing on a global marketplace, we believe that doing so would result in a competitive disadvantage to our long-term goals.
Further discussion among the members. Bill 47. No further discussion. This is a third reading item. The clerk will now call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Berg.
Aye.
Councilmember Cachola. Aye. Councilmember Chang.
Aye.
Councilmember Harimoto.
Aye.
Councilmember Kobayashi.
Aye.
Councilmember Martin.
Aye.
Councilmember Garcia.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, we have 8 ayes and 1 absent.
And the committee report is adopted, and Bill 47, CD2, has passed third reading.
Okay, I'd like to remind everybody that, again, we are working on another bill, a new bill, in companion to Bill 47 that would address some of the concerns with respect to equity that have been discussed today. And my office will be welcoming any input there.